So in this video, I'm going to cover the on-screen menu for the Onkyo TX-NR6050. Again, this is a receiver you can buy in Costco. Goes on sale for $400, but I'm going to go into great detail and show you how I have it set up in my current theater, and I'll show some tips and tricks and things you should avoid, settings that you should probably turn on, things you should turn off, and kind of go through the whole menu system in great detail and try to explain everything as best as I can. Well, I'm probably not going to explain every little thing, but I will show you, I'll kind of go through like the more important things that I would look at when I'm setting it up for the first time. So let's go ahead and start that now. I'm going to go through the entire menu for the TX-NR6050, which I bought in Costco for $400. Really good deal. On the remote, you're going to hit this little button. It looks like a star or a sun. It's kind of like below, it's to the bottom left of this, lower button here. So you can see it there, right there. Hit that button and that'll take you to the menu. So let's start with input output assign, TV out. I have it set to main. This does have two HDMI outputs. I'm using the main one only, but you can set it to main, sub, or both. I have it only set to main. I have upscaling off. I typically recommend just using the upscaler because your TV does a really good job of upscaling, and I usually just let the TV upscale as opposed to the receiver, but you can just, if you don't like, for some reason, if you find that that your TV is creating artifacts, or you don't like the upscaling of your TV, or it's like maybe it's a cheaper TV and your receiver maybe does a better job, and you can set it to auto or off or auto, and there's different settings for that as well. But again, I'm leaving it off. My TV does a pretty good job. I'm leaving it off. So HDMI 8K signal format. Here you can set for the first three, that would be Blu-ray, DVD, and game. You can actually set it to 8K standard or 8K enhanced. I have it, I don't have an 8K, anything with 8K, so I just leave it on 4K enhanced. 4K enhanced covers up to 4K 60, I believe. I may actually change this to 8K enhanced here to test out my Xbox, and I'll just see if there's any difference. So again, for the stream box, PC, and auxiliary, you can do 4K standard or enhanced. I'm just going to leave it on enhanced. I don't know why you have to do this. They should probably just, I actually don't know why. Why isn't it all, why aren't they all 8K enhanced already? I don't understand why you can change it. I have no idea, but maybe it's just, I honestly don't know. I'm not going to just make it up, so I don't know why. Zone 2 HDMI, I'm not using it. And you can change your language here to English, German, French, Spanish. I'm going to leave it on English. I like on-screen display. I'm just going to leave it on. That you can kind of turn it off if you want to not see the volume and stuff like that, but I like it. Mini player OSD. I think this is more for playing audio, playing like audio files on it or something, or like stream on. It says valid for net input, so it's probably for streaming like radio and stuff. And screensaver, I always keep that on. HDMI input. You can, here you can kind of assign what HDMI inputs you want to use. I can take that off and I can actually give it to CD if I want, but I'm just going to leave it the way it came. So you can play with that a little bit like that. Digital audio input. I actually typically leave these off. Again, this is like a hierarchy. It'll default to HDMI first and then fall back to, so if you have, I just typically keep all these off because I just don't have anything. I always use HDMI, but you can actually assign digital audio inputs to specific inputs. And digital, same goes for these. I typically turn these off, but again, you can just leave them on and it's fine. Again, phono is not going to affect it. Phono is completely, you can't even do anything with phono. Let's go to speaker. This is probably the best stuff. So you can do different configurations. You can do 2.1, 3.1, 4.1, 5.1, 6.1, 7.1, 2.1.2, 3.1.2, 4.1.2, 5.1.2, and that is the most you can do with this receiver, and that's how I have it set up here. You can have no subwoofer. This only has this has two subwoofer output pre-outs, but they're not independent of each other, so they're not. You can't adjust the time. You can't time align. It doesn't automatically time align them. So anything you're going to have to do like separately with maybe a mini DSP or something. Again, this is an entry-level product, so I think it's absolutely fine, and it worked great in my theater. So you can change height speaker to top middle, top rear high, Dolby speaker front, Dolby speaker surround, front high again, top front, and top middle, which is the way I have it in my room right now. So zone speaker, no. Zone light, you can actually change to zone B or zone 2. I don't know. I actually don't know what that means. So I have it set to, you can do 6 ohms or above, or 4 ohms. I typically leave it at 6 ohms or above. Most of my speakers are rated at like 8 ohms. Obviously, speakers can dip below 8 ohms at times, depending on how on the frequency that you're. Sometimes they dip below 8, but it's okay. So this can handle a 4 ohm lows as well. So if you have 4 ohm speakers, you would set that to 4 ohms. But 6 ohms that are above, if you have speakers that are rated at 8 ohms, you're probably fine here. Crossover, you can do normal or Klipsch. I guess Onkyo must have had some kind of relationship with Klipsch, because they keep showing up in this menu system. I don't have Klipsch speakers. Like I said, I have it set to normal. I have it set to normal. Front are set to full band because I have tower speakers with built-in subs. Center, originally this had it, when I did the IQ EQ, it set it to 200 hertz, which is way too high, and I've never seen another auto calibration system set it so high. I just set it to 80 hertz. It's perfectly fine there. 80 hertz for the heights and surrounds as well. So the low pass filter for LFE channel, 120 hertz is pretty customary. Or you can go down to 100. I would just say, honestly, 120 is where you want to be. Double bass, I typically wouldn't use this. This would send, I believe it sends the audio of the front 3 speakers to the subwoofer, even if they're set to full band. So I believe if I do this, yeah. So when I crossed over my front speakers, it turned off took away the option for double bass. So if you have it set to full band, you can actually send like the bass. You could sort of like double bass, because if you can send the bass that's going to your front speakers to the subwoofers anyway. But I typically leave that off. My speakers are bassy enough, and my subwoofers are pretty good, so I don't need extra bass. Distance, obviously you can tweak your distances here if you feel that IQ EQ didn't quite right. In my room it didn't. My front right speaker had it set to like 6 feet when it's definitely like 12 feet away. Some cases it set it to like 0.1 feet. So very, very way off. So I had to adjust that one, but the other ones were okay. Level calibration, again, you're gonna hear some test tones. I'm gonna go through this quick. I had to level match these manually with with like an app on my phone, and I got it pretty good to where I liked it. Equalizer setting, I wouldn't mess with this unless you have access to a calibrated microphone and like REW or something like that to really get in here and actually adjust these things, or not. You're just going in blind. I really wouldn't mess with this unless you can actually measure, do a proper measurement and actually tweak areas that need adjustment. But typically I would stay away with. This is more like an advanced feature. This is what I always say. So speaker virtualizer, I just learned about this stuff. So apparently, I didn't know this was a thing. I never had this feature in any of my receivers, and this is I think it's I don't know if it's a Sound United thing, but I think Marantz and Denon receivers are having this. Even a Yamaha one that I checked out recently, I think it has. So basically, if you have non-height speakers, it can virtualize some height speakers, sort of like how some sound bars work. It uses that kind of technology where it just kind of psychoacoustically, simulates a little more height in your sound. I had it set to on, even though I do have heights, and it sounded pretty good. And I turned it off. It really didn't make a difference. So maybe it's more impactful if you don't have any height speakers. So maybe turn it on, turn it off if you feel like you like it. If you don't like it, turn it off. If you think it does add something, then leave it on. You can always experiment like that. Speaker combo. I have it set to other, but you can set, again, this is another Klipsch thing, and you can go in here and change the speaker model to a bunch of different speaker Klipsch models. Again, I don't really even know what this is for. I'm just gonna leave it at other. So if you have Klipsch, this is beneficial, but if not, not really. So audio adjust, I guess this is just for like multi-language TV broadcasts and stuff, but I don't, and it'll take your mono and turn it into stereo, I guess. But again, I don't ever mess with this. Loudest management, I turn, this, so again, it says rich details with surround sound at lower volume. Again, this is another thing that you want to just experiment with, see if you like it more. I turned it off because, again, I didn't notice much of a difference. So if it really doesn't, if you don't notice a difference, why have it on? That's the way I see it. And here, auto surround, this selects the best processing for your particular DTS track that you're listening to, and I just leave it on because it does a good job at that. LFE level, if you want to boost your LFE level, you can here. But again, no issues. In fact, this thing really was bass heavy in my opinion. It really boosted the bass quite well. And I found it quite enjoyable. Mute level, you can set it to 0 dB or -40, so it's not quite muted all the way. This I like it. If I'm muting, I'm going to mute all the way. Maximum volume, you can actually set a maximum volume if you want. You can, again, this receiver does not have a relative. It doesn't have the volume, and it's like absolute volume as opposed to relative. In other words, it's not with decibels. I wish it did have so that's why I tried to change it. I couldn't find how to change it, and that kind of sucks. This sets the volume level. Let's say you're listening at 35 one day or 50 volume, and then you come back the next day, it'll be at 50 because that's how you left it last. Or you can set a number here. I just leave it at last. I kind of like it like that. I always lower the volume when I'm done with a movie anyway. So you can here you can kind of edit the name of an input if you want. Like say game, you can actually change that to Xbox or something. I have messed with this in the past, but since I test things so much and I kind of switch gear a lot, I kind of got lazy and I really don't do it. But it is kind of cool to actually name your input. Audio select, again, don't really mess with this. Hardware, HDMI. Here you can do CEC, which allows the receiver to control other, like your TV. Like if you turn on your receiver, it can turn on your TV. And also, it also allows you to do eARC and stuff, which is really good if you stream a lot using the apps on your TV. eARC is really great. I typically don't use eARC, but it is a great feature to have. And here you can do auto lip sync. I typically leave it on because it typically does a good job. Network, I have mine on Wi-Fi, but you can actually go and see more details down there. Bluetooth, you can adjust your Bluetooth and stuff and turn it on and off. It's pretty self-explanatory. Power management, sleep timer. You can set how shut it off. You can turn it on after 30. Turn it off after 30 minutes if you're about to go to sleep and you forget to turn it off. So you can set this to auto standby after a period of time. If you're not using it for 30 minutes, I don't know, and it'll turn off. You can set it so the USB power in the rear of the unit, if it has power while it's on standby, you can turn that on or off, but I have it off. I never have anything plugged. If you have something plugged into it, I think it is beneficial, but some people like power their USB fans on through the USB power, so you probably would want to turn that off so that the fan turns off with the receiver. So I would leave it off. Network standby I typically leave on in case you want to use IP control and that kind of thing for it. And you can set it. You can wake it up with Bluetooth. Again, I haven't messed with that. I typically I'm more old school with my gear. I don't do anything fancy like that. Sonos, I don't really mess with Sonos. Sorry, I just don't. remote play zone 2. Again, don't do that. I really don't do multi-zone. I'm more of the camp if you want a second zone, I just get another receiver. It's a lot easier, honestly. So miscellaneous, we got tuner. This is sort of like the frequency step. I always leave it at standard. It's fine. Remote ID, again, you can change that. Firmware update, I just updated it. It did need an update, and this is where you would do that. And initial setup, if you want to actually go through the whole initial setup again, you can do that. And then if you want to lock it so nobody can mess with your settings, you can do that here. And here you can factory set it if you're going to sell the unit. So let's check out let's go check out all the net stuff, which is pretty interesting. A lot of people like that. It tells you all the services you can do. So you can do TuneIn, Pandora, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, Amazon Music. You can do Chromecast, DTS Play-Fi, AirPlay, Alexa. You can do a music server. I guess that's network. And then you can actually play files from USB in the front or USB in the rear, and that's just the Play Q. And that is it. I mean, this is a pretty good feature-packed receiver for the money. So I hope that helped you out. Anyway, if you have any questions about the receiver, feel free to leave them in the comments. Again, I had a blast with this receiver, and I think you would too. And yeah, it really helps the channel a lot if you can like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.